Black Op Radio presents 50 Reasons for 50 Years. Why the Warren Commission may be the greatest fraud perpetrated on the American public. Now your host, Len Osanek.
November 1963, 3 weeks before Dallas, working on a tip from an FBI informant named Lee, a plot to assassinate President John F. Kennedy in Chicago is revealed. But the Secret Service don't inform anyone in Dallas. Filmmaker Ted Yacucci is working on a full-length documentary on the Chicago plot. Here is a preview from his upcoming film.
There were actually two tips that reached the Secret Service in the week before JFK's trip here to Chicago. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover reported the first tip to Chicago Secret Service agent in charge, Maurice Martineau. Hoover's information was that at least one hit team with high-powered rifles would attempt to shoot the president from a warehouse or office building overlooking the president's motorcade route that coming Saturday. A break in the case came on Thursday, October 30th, 2 days before the president's arrival at O'Hare. A landlady at a rooming house here in the vicinity of Clark and Division Streets reported that she oversaw 4 rifles with scopes and a map of the president's motorcade route in one of the rooms she had rented to 4 dark-complected men. Chicago's Secret Service initiated 24-hour surveillance, but Agent J. Lloyd Stocks blew his cover in an alleyway behind the rooming house on Friday evening and had to take 2 of the suspects into immediate custody. The second tip involved a man reportedly spouting anti-Kennedy rhetoric and known to have owned multiple firearms. There were some amazing similarities between this man and the man who would be arrested for JFK's murder 3 weeks later. Thomas Valet had been given a job at the IPP Lithoplate Company, a printer, on the 3rd floor. 625 West Jackson Street was a warehouse in 1963. Kennedy's limousine was scheduled to make a slow turn from the Northwest Expressway onto the Jackson Street exit and go right by Valet's 3rd floor window. So in August 1963, just as Lee Oswald was preparing to move from New Orleans back to Dallas, Thomas Valet moved from New York City back to Chicago. Just as Oswald got a job right over Kennedy's future motorcade route in Dallas, so too did Valet get a job in a warehouse right over Kennedy's future motorcade route in Chicago. That Saturday morning, November 2nd, 1963, crowds had started to line the streets in preparation for President Kennedy's visit. The press plane had taken off from Washington, but at least 2 shooters remained at large, and Kennedy's advisors convinced him to cancel his trip. And finally, the arrest of Thomas Arthur Valet is made. Valet's arrest was made by 2 CIA-connected Chicago police officers. Officers Daniel Groth and Peter Sherla had watched Valet all night, but only arrested him at 9:10 a.m., 2.5 hours before the president was due in Chicago and after the trip was officially canceled. For the success of the assassination plot, the scapegoat had to remain free, so long as Kennedy was still coming to Chicago and could be killed there. On the following Monday and Tuesday, Special Agent in Charge Maurice Martineau collected the Chicago plot information from his Secret Service agents. Unlike their work in other investigations, they were told to prepare no documents of their own. In the Chicago office, only Martineau wrote and saw the top secret report. He then sent it by special courier to Washington Chief James Rowley. Incredibly, Secret Service agents in Dallas and the Dallas police will never be told about the activities in Chicago. They will not be told that a 4-man hit team was sent to Chicago less than 3 weeks before with the intent of shooting the president with high-powered rifles from unguarded office buildings overlooking his motorcade route. When Chicago Secret Service agent Abraham Bolden tried to contact the Warren Commission several months later with information about the Chicago plot, he was arrested on false charges Bolden was placed in jail, keeping him away from telling what he knew about the Chicago plot to the public and the Warren Commission. Not one word of the Chicago plot appears in the Warren Commission report.
Stay tuned for the next installment as we expose week after week 50 lies the Warren Commission would like you to believe.